Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Vanity. I was back another Card Fight Vanguard as on the Vanity weekly reviews. Because enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, and donate to Patreon. Let's go start, shall we? So, I don't know if we're getting any special reveals this week, because once more I'm recording this earlier than normal. We got Evolved Orphist, we got Evolved Zorga. If we get an Evolved card, I'm assuming it's going to be a Eugenia Hex Orb. If I am right. If I am for some reason right, I want all of you that see this to hit the sub button if you already haven't, because there's no way in hell I should get this right. But we have a lot of premium reveals, so let's go ahead and get this started, shall we? First up, we have our Desired Double Shit. Grade 1, that sounded like shit. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto 1 is put into your soul from rear guard by your Vanguard ability. Choose a card from your drop zone, put it to soul. That's actually really cool. Because, like, you know, Gridon requires, I think it's 10 cards in soul to get the plus 15k from the restand. And even though, yeah, Gridon's ability would finish before this skill goes off, so you wouldn't get the plus 10, it still sets up for the next restand. And not to mention that the guy can literally just get you a free Gridon from your drop zone into soul, meaning you die at 7. So, shit is all around, I can't say that word properly, it's all around a good card. I actually like it, I think it's pretty nice, and I'm definitely replacing it for the or replacing the rabbit. I think that was soul retired soul charge too, because as helpful as that was, this does it for free. So 3 of. Then we have Tyrannical Magnate Giganotofellow. I don't think that's its real name, but that's what I got from Discord. So grade 4 triple drive, 15k base, auto Vanguard Engorge. Okay, as all of these strides have. And Auto Van, when this unit becomes engorged, counter boss 1, turn a card in your G zone face up. Choose the same number of your rear guards as the number of units retired for this unit's ability. This turn, until end of turn, they get plus 10, and auto rear once per turn at the end of the battle they attack, soul plus 1, stand this unit. So, benefits to the skill. 1, you can engorge God knows how many. 2, any unit you give it, any rear guard you give it to is at least getting plus 10 the ability to restand. And 3, you can abuse this with Sweep Capricorno. I don't remember its name, but I definitely remember it had like Sweep Capped and whatever its name was. That thing that can give you a gauge, and every gauge it has a plus 5. Yeah, this thing can abuse the shit out of that. So, not a 4 for me, because I really do like a Dogma, and I don't like how this thing looks, considering it's holding weapons with its tiny-ass hands. So, 2 for me. Run this at 4. Or 3. Then we have Blockade Lord Legal Garter, grade 4, 15k shield, G-Guard. Honestly, I like this thing. It looks pretty cool. It looks kind of like, or its name reminds me of Blockade Genga. It's got the nice shield around it with the guns, and I like the Triceratops. Anyways, auto is put on guard circle, retire any number of your rear guards. For each rear guard retired this way, it gets plus 10k shield, and for each unit with an equipped gauge retired this way, draw a card. So that's really nice. This boy gets a god knows how much shield and possibly a lot of draws off it, depending on how many gauges were killed. So all around Legal Guard is actually an amazing G-Guard, and unfortunately I must say, I think this is the end for Blockade Genga, as much as I'm disappointed to say that because I really like Blockade Genga. I think this might be it. 2 copies of Legal. Then we have X-Law's Chris Venstar, grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto is placed on rear guard. If you have a John Vanguard, Soul Blast 2, search your deck for up to 1 Metatron, call it to rear guard, and I presume shuffle, and continues rear guard. All your Metatron on rear get their original criticals become 1. Yeah, the reason why it says that is because, like, that has been brought to my attention. A lot of the Shaman King Spirit cards are, like, I guess, I don't know how to call them, backup units, I guess, are all, like, 0 critical, but they have, like, good abilities to get power, I guess, so it's balanced, quote-unquote. But, Venstar, nice. Now let's see what Metatron does. Archangel Metatron, grade 3, 200 persona, 13k base, 0 crit on its own. Auto rear, when it attacks, counter boss 1 gets plus 15 for the battle. This is just a worse Colossus from the start deck of Donji's start deck from Dark States, because if you don't remember what it does, if you're in Final Rush when it's placed, when it's placed, Soul Charge 1, then if you're in Final Rush, counter boss 1 gets plus 15. Same thing, except this only does it for the battle. That one does it for the turn, and you get a Soul Charge out of it, so you wanna run them, you run them at 2 or 3 each, but otherwise not really worth it. Then we have X-Law's Mean Montgomery, grade 2, intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. It continues rear guard. If you have a John Vanguard, this unit can intercept from back row. Cool, good, yeah, now all we need is a way to give this thing boost, and that is actually useful in the back row. Like, it's helpful, especially because if you're, like, gonna call this to rear and then get this in the front row, but genuinely having this in the back row and it doesn't give boost kind of like defeats the purpose of saying that it can intercept from back row, because you're not going to put it there willingly otherwise. So 3 of Montgomery. If there's a card that can give us boost, I'll say 4 of, but I don't remember a card that can give us boost. Then we have broken-ass Nova Stride that I have a funny story about. Fighting Emperor Dragon, Merciless Dragon. Grade 4, triple drive, 15k base. I swear, me and my friend thought this was a fucking Narukami. I think I blatantly said on the channel this is a Vermilion. I'm pretty sure all of us thought that too, and clearly it wasn't. Auto Van, when your rear guard stands by your card's ability, counter boss 1, discard 2, stand this boy, and if it's your main phase, attack your opponent's Vanguard with it. Okay, so force battle if it's in the main phase, otherwise just free restand, or not free restand, counter boss 1, discard 2, restand, and auto van at the end of the battle that attacked, this unit loses a drive for the turn. If you don't know why this is good, then you've never played Novas. I want to let it be clear, the day before this was released, me and my friend were shit-talking Novas, or it'd be more that I was shit-talking Novas, saying that they kind of just got the scapegoat for Bushy's cards. And then the next thing you know, this thing gets revealed, and me and my friend tested this out. Merciless is BS, because getting to restand at least 3 times, getting to restand 3 times, where the cost is just the equivalent to your drive check, is BS when you can just do it with your Vanguard, and because the way this works with Excel gifts, you just get like 3 extra attacks, so for a total of at least 6, but then again, remember, restands are a thing, so probably more than just 6, and you solely will lose the game unless you start trigger sacking. So, Merciless is an amazing grade 4, I love it. It doesn't have a flip skill, but that is honestly fine with me, because if it did, this thing would be a bit too broken, it would hit the ban list really quickly, so, or maybe not the ban list, but definitely the limited list, so 2 of Merciless, because you don't really need F4, because if you manage to stride it 4 times, you're either not playing it right, or your opponent just let you do that, but and somehow the game hasn't ended yet, so 2. Then we have Meteor Kaiser Stiffnid, grade 4, 15k shield, G-Guard, auto when it's put on guard circle, counter boss 1 or more cards, then this unit gets plus 5k shield into end of battle for each face-down card in your damage zone, and if you paid a counter boss of 2 or more, draw a card, and if you paid 3 or more, draw a card. So, as long as you paid at least 1, it gets plus 5k shield for each face-down damage. Like, not just for the one you paid, but just in general. So if you paid 1, but you still had 4 of the card face down, it still gets that extra 25k shield instead of just plus 5. But if you paid 2 or 3 or more, if you paid 3 or more, you're getting 2 draws. But if you paid 2, then you get 1 draw. So, you know, Stiffned, really nice G-Guard. I think it's really good. I put it at 2 of in my deck. Then we have Aurora Battle Princess Horn Apricot, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto rear, when it boosts a Vanguard with Seraph in its card name, counter boss 1, your opponent chooses one of a trigger unit from their drop zone and puts it into their prison. So, bonuses and minuses to this. First off, cost a counterblast. Sometimes Seraph Snow can be a little bit counterblast heavy, but okay. But on the upside, they are forced to get a card from drop. It is on boost, not on boost the attack hit, and it has a Seraph Vanguard. The other downside being it has to boost a Seraph Vanguard, not just a Seraph unit, but hey, you know, they can't all be winners, and it's still a really good skill. I give it a 2 over 3 of my Seraph deck, especially because of the glistening just background. It makes it pop. Then we have a card I'm extremely disappointed in because it belongs to golds and not shadows like I thought it did. Golden Knight of Glory Idvarius, grade 4, triple drive, 15k base, continues Vanguard. All your rear guards placed by card abilities this turn get plus 5. When I read that ability, I had a flashback to one time where I just won without striding in a premium game solely because, like, I thought in my mind, I could stride now, but if I don't kill him, then I'm dead on my next turn, even though I have 2 damage, because I know he can multi-attack me to death because he was playing Blouse. And knowing his track record with Blouse, my opponent's track record with Blouse, I definitely knew I was dead next turn. So it was a matter of picking if I should stride or not, and I was on Gurgit. I chose not to stride, and I went from like a field of 1 to 2 units and 4 Excel gifts to 6 Excel gifts and a full field. So, or like at least a full front row. And I had, what, 4 hand cards, and I don't remember what I did, but I just remember I won that turn. So, yeah, Idvarius would have helped in that situation just to get the extra triple drive. And auto van, once per turn, when it attacks, counterboss 1, put all your rested rear guards to bottom, choose a 2 card from your hand, call them to rear, and if you put 4 more cards to bottom, at the end of the battle, stand, this unit loses 2 drives. I don't like that. My big thing with Aggravate, and I'm going to flash back to Aggravate, is I didn't hate about what I didn't hate it. I didn't hate Aggravate now. In fact, I actually liked Aggravate. So never mind. My argument is invalid here. But it varies. The thing I hate about it is, yeah, all the rear guards going to bottom. That's good, so you don't deck out because this is golds. But it involves you calling 2 from hand, and you lose basically your entire board because it says all your rested rear guards. You don't get to pick. You're putting all of them to bottom. So not that nice. And not to mention, like, the stand and losing 2 drives. I don't know. In my opinion, golds didn't need a card that did this. Because, Like, I'm not a pro gold player or anything, I just like playing gold, but I don't think they needed this at all. The first skill, yeah, that's widely appreciated. The second skill, I'm a little 50-50 on it. Like, I'm not going to run this, but if you want to run it, go ahead, run it at 2. But this is not a card for me. Then we have Golden Dragon, Sanctified Dragon, grade 4, 15k shield, G-Guard, autos put on guard circle, Soul Blast 1, and look at top 2, choose up to 2 unit cards from among them, call into rear guard, so call in guard circle, discard the rest, and if you called at least one grade or greater unit, draw a card. Basically, unless the top 2 has 2 trigger units, or two orders, or some combination of those 2, this is effectively just a draw. Which is nice, it instantly activates Unite, it's a Soul Blast, it's basically Slay Flare, but kind of on a budget and can possibly net you a free draw. So Sanctified is really good. I like it as a G-Guard. I think I finally have my replacement for Reyes now, who I run because I have no other choice. Because literally there were only 3 G-Guards in golds up until this point. So Sanctified is the card that's replacing Reyes. Then we have Pirate King of Everlasting Darkness, Bartholomew. I like his art. His name I question, because this is just a rich man name to me, but I like this part, and I hate this part, but I love this art. Grade 4 triple drive, 15k base, auto van, 1 attacks, counterblast 1, 2 to 3 cards from your drop zone with different names, call them to rear guard circles, and those units get +5 for the turn. So pay 2 counterblast, make sure one of the units that you call is a Columbard, and you effectively just have a Night Rose, you have a Stride version of Night Rose in V. Okay, not even going to question it. And continues van, if your drop zone has 30 or more cards, you and your opponent would call a card from the hand to guard circle, they must call 3 or more at the same time. That wasn't me like stopping the video and pausing for a second. That was just me just thinking in my mind, because here's my thing. I know some people that would say, oh, hitting 30 cards in drop with Grand Blue is like suicide, or that's hard. No, it's not. And I had to say this not from what I can do with it, but from when I've seen someone play Grand Blue does with it, and if he's watching this video, he knows what I'm referring to when I say, bet he can't deck himself out in 1 turn, and he fucking does it. What I've learned on first grade 3 turn, I might add, what I've learned from this, never challenge that man to a deck out competition, because he will win. But Bartholomew, amazing stride. You only need 2 of it, because if you stride it while you're at 30 more drop zone cards, unless your opponent has a bunch of PGs and or G guards, they are dying to this. So 2 of. Then we have Phantom Princess of the Moonlight Chorus, Orriana, grade 4, 15k shield, G guard, autos put on guard circle, counterblast 1, the attacking unit loses 1 critical for every 10 cards in drop. Minuses and pluses. I believe crits can go into the negative. If I'm wrong, but that means it can stop critical triggers, and it can make attacks less dangerous. I always like G-Guards that don't actually need to guard the attack for the guard to be successful, like Denial Griffin. You don't have to guard the attack successfully because you can just murder the attacking unit when it's placed, and Orriana here lowers critical, so even if the power is vastly greater than the G-Guard, you can screw over the critical, so good G-Guard. I like it, 2 of. Then we have God of War, Ares, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base, auto rear. When it attacks, if your Vanguard is a grade 3 greater god, counterblast 1, soul blast 1, draw, card gets +5. Okay, I like this. You get a draw, you get 5k. It's an actually good skill, so I get a 3 of. Then we have God of Conquest, Adamas, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 13k base, auto van or rear. At the end of the turn, if you have 4 or less damage, put the top card of your deck into your damage zone face down. Pluses and minuses. It is a 13k base card, and finally we have a card that can be interchanged in the ride line. Downsides is if you don't have 5 damage, you are dying to this because you're going to take a face down damage. So it's an okay card, good for early rush, but not something I would suggest. If you do run this, you run it out of 2 of. Actually, no, if you run this out of 4 of and see how fast you can kill yourself with it. Then we have Musician of the Heavens, Rutiti, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear. When it boosts a grade 3 or greater unit, if your Vanguard has Bastion in its card name, it gets +5, so 13k booster, and that's really nice. Downside, counts as only a grade 1, doesn't have a skill that counts as a grade 3, so I will not be running this in my deck, but I like the skill. It's not as appreciated, I give it a 3 of. Then we have Heavenly Imperial Dragon, Exalted Dragon. Based off of the art, and I know Orphist and Zorga have quickly taken over the main focus of the booster set, and everyone's hoping that we all get evolutions, but I am so upset that this skill is different from what I thought it would be, or more of a support skill than an actual main skill. Heavenly Imperial Dragon, Exalted Dragon, Grade 3 200% or 13k base. Autos placed on rearguard if your Vanguard is bashed in its card name, Counter Boss 1, Soul Boss 1. Start your deck for this, call it to rearguard circle in the same column as it, and shuffle your deck. When you look at this, don't tell me that this is the first thing that comes to mind. Because I imagine it'll be unit, gets an ability when it stands, or gets an extra crit, or gets any amount of power, not just get you this. This could have been a main grade 3, and if it did the same thing but on a Vanguard circle, I would be fine with that, because it would probably have a second skill to support this, but it doesn't, and this has such a cool art, and it's kind of wasted on a support card. So 3 of, if you want to run this, I'm not going to, because that involves me running this for it to be useful. And then we move on to more Ragnarok reveals, which we now have a ride line for. Poseidon. Grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto shield 20 for second draw, card not special about a standard starter. But for the rest of his ride line, it's pretty interesting. We have Small Frac Poseidon. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, autos rides. When this unit rides upon Poseidon, look at the top 7 for a Poseidon unit card or a Poseidon order card. Reveal it, add it to your hand, shuffle the remaining cards onto the bottom of your deck and at random. And continues rearguard during turn, gets +2. Okay, I think I've realized something. I don't know why it took me until seeing the Poseidon ride line to figure this out, but I think all of the decks pretty much have, all the ride lines pretty much have the same grade 1 skill, where when they ride upon the starter, they look for either a unit card with the ride line name or a order card with the ride line name, followed by continuous rearguard, they get +2. And they all have a similar order, at least for the god units they do. And this thing's face reminds me of one scene I saw from a clip of Attack on Titan. I don't know why, but interesting card. I think it's fine. 1 of in the ride deck, maybe 3 in the main deck if you choose to do that, or just none in the main deck. It's either 0 or 3. Then we have Natural Waves Poseidon, grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Interesting. Bloodshot. He kind of looks like a sociopath. Auto when is rode upon by Tyrant of the Oceans Poseidon, call it to rearguard circle from your soul. Okay, so basically, what's his name? Ascendant Assault, but better, and Tyrant of the Ocean. That's a good name. And it continues, if it's retired due to your abilities of your Vanguard, it gets count as 2 rear guards. So they took the skill from the grade 1 for PBD that I don't remember the name of, and then just shoved it onto this. Okay, that's fair. It's actually a really good support card, and this is something you want to run in your deck, main deck, because your Vanguard does actually retire units, so 3 in the main deck, 1 in the ride deck. Then we have our grade 3 of the ride line, Tyrant of the Oceans Poseidon. Grade 3, 200 persona right, 13k base. I actually like this art despite the fact that, background plain as usual. We got a nice weapon here, and it kind of looks like a scythe and not really. So I really like that, and I like his clothes design. Active Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, rest 1 of your rear guard. Start your deck for 1 Poseidon. Order add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. Okay, pretty good. And Active Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, counterbots 1 retire any number of your rear guards. Must be a minimum of 1 though. And for each rear guard retired by this cost, it gets +5 for the turn. And if you retire 2 or more rear guards, this unit gets +1 drive. Kind of seems lackluster because you can just stop at 2 and he's a 23k base and has triple drive. I wish there was more to it, every 2 you kill, he gets an extra drive, and yeah, for every 2 you kill, he gets an extra drive. Really wish that was the case. Then again, that would be a bit too easy because you can just sack 2 of these, but at least you're sacking 2 rear guards, so I can see why not. Because this, since it would count as 2, it gets +20. I mean, it gets +10 and it would get an extra drive, but hey, it can still get power for each one we killed, so Poseidon's really nice. I like his skill, I think he's interesting. Then we have Greek mythology's most terrifying god, Poseidon, grade 3, 200, grade 2, intercept, 5k shield, first off, 10k base. Autos retire from mirror due to the cost of your abilities, so plus 1 call to rear guard as rest. Well, at least worst case scenario, if you have to kill it from this, which you probably don't want to, he can at least come back as rest, and if your Vanguard has Poseidon's card name, stand it, and then choose one of your other units, it gets +5 for the turn. Okay, never mind. You can just kill these 2, get +15 a drive, soul +1, call it back, and then it gets someone else gets +5. So Poseidon's really nice. I actually like this card, a good support card 4 of, because I can just turn this into a 20. Then we have Chion Tryrodiameter, otherwise known as Divine Lightning Falling into the Rough Sea. I'm pretty sure this is the actual real name, but I don't know why this was attached to it in the Discord message, but it was. Anyways, normal order Poseidon. You may play it if you have a Vanguard of Poseidon's card name. Look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose a unit with Poseidon's card name for among them with grade equal to or less than your Vanguard's grade. Call it to rearguard circle. Shuffle the remaining cards at the bottom of your deck at random and choose one of your Vanguards with +10 for the turn. So, free order, +10 to Van, look at top 7, get a call. amazing order, 4 of, as I said with all these other orders, or 3 of. He's either 3/3 or 4/4. Then we have Soul Bearer, Poseidon. Yep, all of us have this order. Grade 3, normal order. Poseidon, if you have a Vanguard Poseidon's card name, play it by counterblasting 1. All your front row gets plus 10 for the turn, and if you have retired one of your rear guards this turn, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, kill it. I like how all these orders, like, everyone gets 2 sets of orders, one grade 2, one grade 3, I believe, or maybe just 2 of them are grade 3s, but they always get an order that basically gives them a Persona Ride for the cost of a Counterblast, which made me question for a second if all of them had Persona Ride, so I went to go check on them, and they did have Persona Rides. I was just questioning it. And then they all have a skill to support like what the deck does. In this case, it's just for getting retired. So I like this. I think this is definitely the order you want to run it for, just because free plus 10 to front row, because obviously Poseidon already has power, but his rear guards don't really gain it. So you want the rear guards to gain power, and you want to be able to kill an opponent's rear guard, so 4 of. Then we have Blaze Stealth Monk Kageri. Once more, cool art, probably not going to use it. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 6k base. Autos discard from your hand during your turn, and counterblast 1, choose one of your vanguards, gets plus 10 for the turn. At least he's generic, and you know what, I might be wrong, because maybe Wildress will introduce a new main grade 3 and a new deck gimmick that won't involve too much counterblasting, so I might end up running this. Who knows? I am probably joking, and I'm very doubtful that this will happen, but if it does, I will actually be happy, because I get to run half the cards that look cool to me. So 3 of Kageri if you choose to run it, or 2 of, because that discard can be helpful. Then we have Divine Dragon Knight, Barakat. Grade 4, triple drive, 15k base, auto van when attacks. Turn over card in your G-zone face up. So no counterblast, no soul blast, no discard, no nothing, just G-flip. Cool. If your opponent has 3 or more open rear guards, it gets plus 10 in a crit and a drive for the turn. Or for the battle. So let me get this right. They have, if you're just playing Kagero normally and you nuke at least most of their field, it immediately becomes, at the very least, assuming that you're just using a very old G Vanguard, which you probably won't be, but let's just assume you are, 36, double critical, quad drive swinger. Okay? And if your opponent has 5 or more open rear guards, all your rear guards get plus 10. And this becomes a PG target. I don't need to explain to you why this is good. Run it at 4 or 3. I'm good with either, but run it at one of those 2 numbers. Then we have Blaze Dragon Dancer Salima, probably one of the worst G guards in this set. Grade 4, 15k shield. Auto when is the amount of cards need to be discarded for this card's cost is reduced by 1 for each of your opponent's open rear guard circles. When put on guard circle, Soul Blast 1 and discard 4. Choose one of your units that cannot be attended to battle. So it has the chance just to be a Soul Blast 1, and one of your units cannot be hit, which is good, because that is the easiest cost to pay for one of the free PGs. Here's the thing though, that will only be the case if they have 4 open rear guard circles, and it's during your opponent's turn. Like, a lot of decks this will do nothing against, because they will get too many rear guards way too quickly, and typically Kagero still wouldn't have enough abilities to kill enough rear guards to where you're not discarding for it. So Salima, as much as I like her, she is not a card that I think is good for the new G-guarding skill, where all of them just become PGs, so don't run her. If you want to run her, tech her as a 1 of, but otherwise not really worth it. Then we have Yamata no Orochigo Roden Sword. That was completely wrong. Let me try again. Yamata no Orochigo Wooden Sword Ryu. I still fucked it up. I can't say. I was so focused on trying to say this, and I couldn't say wooden. Anyways, grade 3 200 Persona Ride, 13k base, badass looking art. Continuous, this unit can only route on a grade 3 with Wooden Sword Ryu in its card name, and auto when is placed on Vanguard Circle, choose up to 1 in search of the best place, and up to 1 Takagero in its card name from your soul, put them to your hand. Okay, and so the Oversoul's target basically goes to hand, and I believe that was the order is in search of the best place. In Oversoul, at Vanguard Circle once per turn, put one of your other rear guards with Takagero in its card name into your soul, draw a card, choose up to 1 card from your hand, call it to rear, and all your units get plus 10 for the turn. So basically the whole board gets a Persona Ride is what I'm hearing. 4 of, not even gonna argue it. Then we have Radiant Ocean, Heltrauda, because this thing is apparently broken from what I've heard. Grade 4 triple drive, 15k base, auto van, 1 attacks, discard 3, return all your rear guards, return all of the cards on your circles other than van to your hand. So basically bounce your entire board. Choose up to 2 cards from your hand and call them to rear guard circle, and at the end of the battle, you can counterblast 1, soul blast 1, put it to your G zone, and stand your vanguard without a drive minus. If I remember correctly, Bermuda doesn't. Nope, they do. They definitely do. They have a way to stand. I know they do. Heltrauda is, first off, that first half of that skill is free, by the way, and the second half of that skill, the one with the restand, is the easiest restand cost to pay I have ever seen, with no minus to this. You run this at 4 because yeah, you need 3 hand. Oh, I'm sorry, not the first skill is not completely free. 3 hand. Yeah, you need 3 hand cards to do all this at the very least. But yeah. Run this at 2 because guess what? If you have the 3 hand cards, you can just call 2 of the units you bounce. So run this at 4 because if you're actually probably would only need to be ran at 2 because 2 of these would either get you killed or get you the win. So yeah, 2 of. Then we have Diva of Salvation, Lucrèce, or Lucrèce. Grade 4, 15k shield, G-Guard, auto, when it's put on guard, circle, counterboss 1, return a normal unit from your rear guard to hand, and perform the following according to the grade of the returned card for the cost. If it was grade 2 or less, it gets plus 15 shield for the battle, and if it was grade 3 or more, choose your vanguards, it gets plus 5 for the turn. Okay, all we need is Bermuda grade 3s that have useful skills on rear guards in my opinion, and then this becomes immediately broken. Amazing grade 4. I like it. 2 of. Now on to our next set of reveals, we have Lady Desiring Love. If you can't tell, she looks like kind of one of the evolved forms of... Sorry, I choked for a second. She looks like one of the evolved forms from, like, what's it called? Stoicaea's Zorga deck, the Beauty Pulling Sieve, I think it was. So, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base, auto rear. When it attacks, discard 1 order card from your hand, and this unit gets plus 10 for the battle. Okay, you know what? That's pretty good, because what I've noticed from my new Zorga deck with the newer Zorga and all that stuff, is that I tend to have, most of the time, or at least for the early game, I tend to have orders in my hand that I don't really need. So, you know, Love ends up coming in helpful with that. Reason why I'm not going to run her though. 1, those orders tend to actually be helpful in the later game because those are normally cards I use to discard for Zorga's skill. And then 2, sometimes you just don't want to discard those orders, especially because you're not getting the drawback, which means sometimes you might just be stuck with the top deck if you end up losing all your hand cards. So as much as she gives power, and that's really good for Zorga, we literally have a consistent way just to get a free Persona right each turn. So, like, I'm not even joking with you. Every game I've played with that Zorga deck so far, I have gotten a effective Persona ride, quote unquote, every single turn, and on some of those turns, I will get an actual Persona ride, making a total of 20k to front row. So as much as I love over here, I don't need it, especially because half the time my front row is just filled with 2 roaming Prism Dragons. So, you know, if you want to run her 2 of, but I'm not going to run her. And then we have Rikudo Stealth Rogue, Yatsukalord. Okay, I don't know how to feel about his skill, but we all know I'm biased to this thing because we see the moon, and his blade looks cool in it. I love this card. It kind of looks like Blade-Wing Raging. I thought for a second, is this a Dark Regulus card? Did we get a Dark Regulus Stride yet? And then I thought to myself, yeah, we did. I remember it because I hate it so much. So anyways, Yutaka over here, grade 4 triple drive 15k base, act Vanguard Circle once per turn, Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, I believe this is for Nubatama by the way, choose 3 unit cards from your opponent's drop zone, and your opponent may choose any number of them to call to rear. Your opponent cannot activate the auto abilities of the cards called. For each unit called, your opponent discards a card from their hand, and for each card chosen by this effect that was not called, you draw a card and all your farm row gets plus 10 for the turn. So either they call 3 but they discard 3, or they call none and your front row gets plus 30 and you get 3 draws, or somewhere in between. So that's actually really good. I like my main thing with some of these strides that they don't flip, and I really love flipping skills. Like even if they don't do anything, the whole point of the deck isn't just to get GB. I just love flipping skills. It makes me feel good. I don't know why. I feel some sense of accomplishment when I flip over a card in the G zone. So the fact that he doesn't flip is kind of like a reason why I don't run a 1-him. In fact, it's the only reason why I don't want to run him, because literally they either call 3 and then discard 3, or they don't and you get plus 30 and 3 draws, or like I said earlier, somewhere in between that. So honestly, this thing's really good, and I say you should run it at 2 of. My personal opinion, if it had a flip, I would run it at 4 without questions asked. Now I'm questioning if I should run it just because it doesn't have that flip. Not saying that flipping makes it good, I'm just saying I like flipping skills. Then we have Rikudo Stealth Rogue Moreilord, grade 4, 15k shield, G-Guard, autos put on guard circle, counterblast 1 for each card in your opponent's hand. Wait, sorry, let me rephrase that. So it's wrong wording. Counterblast 1 as the cost, and for each card in your opponent's hand, this unit gets plus 5k shield. Right? I'm not crazy, it's not counter... No, because yeah, it would have said for each card, counterblast 1. So, you know, really good against Oracle Think Tank, really good against decks that get a lot of draw power, and if your opponent has 4 or less hand cards, you draw a card. So either they get So either at most this is getting at least 20k shield, and you get draw. So honestly, Moreilord's pretty good. I think it's a nice G card. I don't know if I would run her because I really like Gecko Horicon and what was the other G card that I really like using? I think it was Abu Dataishi. One of the two Abu Dataishis. I don't know why. I don't like their skills, but I just find it fun putting it on the guard circle. Same thing with the flips. It's not that I think it's required, I just like using it. So, Moreilord, I might not run her, but I might give her a 1 of just because I really want to keep the Abu Dataishi. Then we have Unparalleled Kojiro Sasaki, grade 2, intercept 5k shield, 10k base. I swear we're going to get a Kojiro Sasaki ride line tomorrow. Auto rear when it attacks. If you have a Vanguard that's grade 3 or greater, Valkyrie or Kojiro Sasaki in its card name. Soul Blast 3, draw a card. Your opponent chooses a card from the drop zone and binds it. Cool, so on swing, bind from drop, you draw. Downside, you have to Soul Blast 3 for that. Not really sure if I like that skill. It could have been a Soul Blast 1 and I would have been fine with it. Hell, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, I'm fine with that. Counter Blast 1, Soul Blast 1, Discard 1. Okay, a bit hefty in my opinion, but I'm fine with that. But not Soul Blast 3. That's just too much. So, run it at I don't know if we're actually going to get a Kojiro Sasaki ride line or just a ride line that supports them. But, maybe a 4 of in that ride line, but, my opinion, just gonna not run this if I have a choice, or at most I'd run it at 2. Then we have Second School of Thought, Musashi Miyamoto. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rear at the end of the battle that this unit attacked. If your Vanguard has Kojiro Sasaki in its card name. Okay, so that confirms we're getting a ride line for it. Put it to soul, choose one of your units, it gets +5 for the turn. It gets a soul. It makes this a slightly less bad. I will give this a 4 of, especially because if we're actually getting a ride line, granted an 8k swinger is not that good, but still it's good, so 4 of. And then we have these two strides. So we have Nebula Dragon, Cosmic Dawn Dragon from Link Joker, 15k base, grade 4 triple drive, auto Vanguard when it attacks, counterblast 1, look at top 7, choose up to 2 cards from on them, put them to your rear guard circles as a locked, and shuffle your deck, and then choose any number of your locked cards, unlock them, or return them to hand. And for each card returned to your hand by this effect, your opponent chooses one of the rear guards and locks it. So, I wish it had a flippy skill. As I said earlier, I love those skills, but you know what? This thing is still good. I probably won't run it solely because it doesn't have a flipping skill. Like I said, people can call me stupid for that. It's not that I don't think it makes a difference, it's just the fact that I prefer a flippy skill just because it makes me feel nice, but it's fine. That doesn't have a flippy skill. So, get you possible 2 free locks. You don't have to pick 2. But not to mention that you can either just get more multi-attack out of it by unlocking them, or just look at top 7. Oh, 2 PGs, place them face down, get them back to hand. And for each card bounce, your opponent loses a hand card. Lose a rear card. So, Nebula's pretty good. Downside is they get to pick the locks, but you're screwing over the board anyway. So, 3 of if you choose to run this. Actually, 2 of. All these cards I'm giving a 2 of if they don't flip. And then we have Terminal Ending Darkness, Big Ripper. Literally by looking at this card, because I saw it from afar when I first saw it, I thought this was just Locus Karina, but as a different G-Guard. Grade 4, 15k shield, G-Guard, Autumn's put on guard circle, Soul Blast will unlock 1 or more back or rear guards, it gets plus 10k shield for the battle, and if you have 2 or more locked cards, draw a card. So I see Demon Maxwell, Death Sturvin, and what was the other G-Guard? I think it was Locus Karina. I see all of them in this one card. Okay, this thing's actually pretty good. Like, this is just them but better. So, downside is a forced lock of at least 1 card, but otherwise you get at least 10k shield out of it, guaranteed, regardless if you locked 1 or more. You have to lock at least 1, but if you do, free 25k shield basically, and you possibly get a draw off it. All around, nice G-Guard. I like it. I think it deserves a 2 of.
And now we have our Diablos supporters all the way from Dark States. We have Diablos Boys Nile, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Continues guard circle if your Vanguard with Bruce since card name was hit during this turn, gets plus 15k shield. Cool, so he's a 20k shield if your Vanguard was hit. Not gonna use it. Not gonna use it. I mean, I'm not saying Bruce doesn't need this, and I'm not saying it does need it either, but I know for a fact I'm not gonna use this, simply because when I play Bruce, I will hit 5 damage before this would be useful. Like, I will hit 5 damage before this will be useful, and I can still survive without Nile. Nile wouldn't make it better, because Nile would make me debate what I need to discard, and sometimes I would discard the less shield option just because it's the less shield option, which isn't a good thing. So Nile, while in situations, yes, he can save me, sometimes the more shield isn't always better in comparison. So, not for me, but if you want to run it, run out of 2 of. Then we have Devotion, Heavenly Dragon, Jagdandalog, whatever the fuck that is, Jagdandalaga. Jagdalaga. I tried. Grade 4, triple drive, 15k base. I love the look of this art, and frankly, I thought it was a Messiah for a second, and then I thought it was an Arakami, and then I realized, oh yeah, you know, it can make sense that it would be a Genesis. So, Auto Van, once per turn, when it attacks, turn a card in your G-Zone face up. Yes! More G-Zone flipping skills. Choose any number of cards from your drop zone with different grades, put them into your soul, and this unit gets plus 10 for the turn. I wish it was plus 10 for each one put, but you know what? That's still good. So, at least a 36k swing, but let's just all assume you're actually playing a 13k base, so 38k swing with bunch of at least 4, hopefully 4 free soul, and you get a G-flip, and no counterblast or soul blast need to be paid, so that's really nice. And Auto Van, when your opponent's unit is put on guard circle from somewhere other than their deck, soul blast 1, retire the guarding unit, and then your opponent looks at the top card of the deck and calls it to guard circle. So in theory, they can just lose a trigger, or they're forced to, like, play something else. And granted, it could screw you over because they might have just, like, G-guarded, because this can nullify G-guards. But, yeah, they could possibly see a PG from the top, so, you know, there's a minus to him, but there's definitely a plus to him. And that is a plus I'm worth putting at a 4 of 4. Then we have Bright Heavenly Dragon Arnavanta. Grade 4, 15k shield, G-Guard. I love the art of this card. I love the art of both of these two. Auto, when it's put on guard circle, put 1 card from your hand, put either a card from your hand or a rear guard into your soul. This gets plus 10k for the plus 10k shield for the battle. Cool, so 25k shield for the cheapest cost. Then you may put a total of 2 cards from either hand or rear guards into soul. Choose one of your opponent's units, and they lose 2 crit for the turn. So you can put 1 from hand, 1 from rear, 2 from hand, no from rear, or 2 from rear, none from hand, or some combination of the 2. But loses a crit, gain shield, and the funny thing is, it says loses a crit to 1 unit for the turn. It doesn't have to be the attacking unit, and that's what I like. It doesn't just get. I forgot what G-Guard was, but I know I think it's the Gear Chronicle one that just does discards, where it gets shield, but then if you discard a certain amount, it can also nullify criticals. Nullify the attack. It's not like the Gear Chronicle card where it just makes you pay some cost and then get shield for no apparent reason. Instead, you get shield, and then you can nullify another attack, basically. Arnavanta is a really amazing G-Guard. I like its art. I like its skill. 2 of. Then we have Keen Megatrit Leontina, grade 4, triple drive, 15k base, auto van, when it attacks, counterblast 1, discard 1, put all your rear guards into soul whether they're rested or not. For each card put into your soul by this effect, choose 2 unit cards, call them to rear guard, and if you called a grade 4 or greater unit, until end of turn, when your opponent would call cards from hand to guard circle, they must call 2 or more at the same time. So what I'm getting from this, Hari. It's straight up Hari. Or you can try you're meant to use it in Hari. Or you can try some fucked up build with Bruce, grade 4, which I doubt you would reasonably do, but okay, sure, try it. I dare you, see what happens. But, yeah, Leotina. It's an okay grade 4. I don't particularly like it, partially because it doesn't do the flip, but also it requires you to get a grade 4 for the second ability go off. I really wish it was if you called 6 units, because that's not that hard to do in this deck. Then again, it's kind of hard, but fair enough. So it's good. Oh wait, no, yeah, it's for each 1 unit you get 2. Yeah, never mind. Yeah, 6 would be too easy. I put a 2 of in this deck, or in any Panmoon deck. Then we have just a Demonic Dragon, Reflection Chimera. I don't think a Chimera is a dragon, but okay, sure. But she says otherwise. Grade 4, 15k shield, G-Guard. I gotta admit though, I like the art. Auto is put on guard circle. Put 1 or more of your cards from your hand into soul. For each card put for the cost, it gets plus 10k shield for the battle. And if you put 2 or more for the cost, your opponent chooses 1 of their standing rear guards, puts it to soul. Again! 2 good G-Guards. They get shield, this one getting more, and then they can nullify another attack. Because thankfully this one says, yeah, well, they get to pick it. They have to send a standing unit to the bottom. To their soul. Which means, yeah, okay, they're getting soul, but they're losing an attack, or they're losing a booster, or they're losing a stronger attack. And he gets plus 10k shield for every card put. You put 2 cards, boy gets 20. You put 4 cards, boy gets 40, etc., etc. This thing is amazing. I love it. I'll say 4 of. I can see myself running this at 4. 2 of, 3 of, 16 of. because screw rules. Amazing card. I love it so much to have. Then we have King of the Ice World, Hodo. He's got a really cool looking bird by his side, I'll tell you that much. Grade 3, triple drive, Persona Ride, 13k base, continuous. You can only ride on top of a grade 3 unit with Ho in his card name, fair enough. And weirdly enough, I think this is either the only one or one of the only ones that doesn't search a copy of itself or like a grade 3 of the ride line for skills when it's rode upon, but okay. Auto Van at the beginning of your main phase, choose a normal order from your drop zone, put it to your hand, and you can play 2 orders this turn. Okay, that is a fair exchange for the other skill where like you get a grade 3 so you can Persona Ride next turn and then just keep doing it. That's a fair exchange because the whole point of this deck is to play orders, and while if I remember correctly, we only have 2 horror orders. That's cool. You get a free order from drop, and then you can play 2 orders for the turn. And it's not a then clause, which means I'm pretty sure you get to play 2 orders regardless if you add a card or not. That's a good skill, and if they stop there, that would still be pretty good, but... Then we have Oversoul, act Vanguard, circle once per turn, put one of your rear guards with Aurora in its card name into your soul, retire all your opponent's grade 1 or less rear guards, so basically their back row, or unless you're playing Luar, then in that case their entire field, or you're playing 21 grade 1 Clarent. Yes, it is a thing, I own that thing. Then retire their board, but this unit gets plus 10k power and 1 critical for the turn. Okay, way to nuke the supporting units, get extra critical, get extra power, and its skill is really consistent with the actual deck. Instead of just being focused on spamming Persona Rides, it's actually a unique evolution. I like its art, I like its skill, I think it's cool for in a horror deck.
Okay, let's finish this up with our last few reveals, but I wanted to be clear on camera yesterday. I predicted that we would get a Kaseki Rattler, I think it was, and we kind of got one, so I was right. Anyways, for our start of our next reviews, we have Stealth Fiend Kuajije, grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base, auto when it's placed on Vanguard or Rearguard, reveal top 5. If all normal units revealed are Stealth Fiends in their card name, then choose one card that is grade 2 or greater from them. You may either call it to Rearguard or add to the hand and shuffle your deck. Really nice addition to the Stealth Fiend deck, because I remember correctly, it was Stealth Fiends that had Neuro Hyuga, so really cool that it can add cards to hand or call things to Rearguard for early rush. And all around, it's actually a good grade 1, and to have a Stealth Fiend deck to add a little bit more consistency to it. So I say 4 of Kageri. Then we have Metalborg Lionetter, grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto was rode upon by a grade 3 Metalborg, discard 1, call to rearguard circle from soul, and you get imaginary, get force on your Vanguard. And auto rear when it attacks, this unit gets plus 5k power for each force marker on your Vanguard turn of battle. Okay, if I remember correctly, Metalborgs cannot get force gift spamming outside of this card now, and you can only do it while you're at grade 2, or technically the turn you ride to grade 3. So, you know, Lionetter is pretty good. They made it so it's not broken, it can add power to itself, and not to mention the fact that they can get it a force gift just by riding on it. So, alright, I think it's a really nice grade 2 to have in Metalborg, so 4 of. Then we have Sylvan Worn Beast Almighty. I feel like that's a name for the card, but okay. Grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto rear when your other unit attacks from back row, counterblast 1, put it to soul, and that attacking unit gets plus 10 for the battle. Me personally, I feel like Magnolia needed this in set 1, because I don't think Magnolia struggles with soul anymore, or at least not to where it should need this. But if I'm wrong and it does need this, cool, shove it in at a 2 or 3 of, but I know my Magnolia deck doesn't need this, so I'm not running it at all. Then we have Desired Devil Dolphound, grade 3 200 Persona Ride, 13k base. I love the fact that he's a rhino with wings. Auto when is placed on Rearguard from hand. If you have a Vanguard with Avarice Demonic Dragon Greed on your van, you may soul charge too. So it's a May class, so you don't have to soul charge, which is nice. And auto rear when it attacks, if your soul has 2 or more Avarice Demonic Dragon Greedons, counterblast 1 and this unit gets a critical for the battle. So I think we all knew the Greedon wasn't getting an evolution like Orphist and Zorga did, and that's good. So he has a way to get you soul, and he's on attack, get a critical if you have 2 or more Greedons in soul. My opinion, I'm not so sure if he's worth it or not, because you gotta inevitably call down a total of 5 rear guards so that you can still restand. But he's okay. I really wish his ability was like, if it's rested, it counts as standing, but it's fine. So I guess if you choose to run this in Greedon, you run at a 2 or maybe a 1 of tech, but I wouldn't suggest running this at more than that. Then we have Kindhearted Boy Lysurg, grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto when it's rode upon if you win second draw card. Standard start, nothing special about it. He seems kind of interesting though, especially by the art, so I think I might like this ride line. Then we have the Punishment is Death Lysurg, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto when it's placed on by writing from Kindhearted Boy like Search your deck after 1, playing Daintily Morphine, call it to back row center and stuff for your deck. I swear we got a Lycern card that did that, or at least a different rattling that called Morphine and Shaman King, but I don't care. This is interesting skill, one of in the right deck, because it, gets you a free call to the back center, and I presume that's the target for Oversoul. Then we have playing D&D Morphine, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto when this unit is put from rearguard into your soul for the cost of Oversoul. Look at the top card of your deck, call it to rearguard circle, or put it to your hand. And if you put it to your hand, choose a card from your hand and discard it. So really nice that just for free, it can basically bounce itself back to the board or to the hand. I would question why you would do it to the hand unless you're trying to get defensives, but at that point you just discard a grade 3, otherwise you just call it back to board just to get power. So Morphine's a pretty good grade 1 for the sake of it can work really well with Oversoul cards, so I put it at a 4. Then we have Swinging Pendulum Lysurg, grade 2 5k shield, 10k base, auto van. When it attacks while boosted by a unit with Morphine in its card name, card plus 1, look at the top 2, choose a card from among them, put it to your hand, and put the rest on the top. You continue to rearguard during your turn, this unit gets plus 2. Okay, really nice simple counterblast when it swings by Morphine, which I don't think we've seen a skill in Shaman King like that yet, and you basically get to stack your drive check. So overall, that's nice. Free card to hand, guaranteed drive check, maybe with a trigger. Overall, nice, looks pretty good. No reason to run in the main deck at more than 0 though, so one in the right deck. Then we have thing I want to run solely because I don't know why looking at it reminds me of a knight. Revenger, Lysurg Deathiel. Maybe that's why, because it has Revenger in its card name. Grade 3, 200 Persona, 13k base, Oversoul, active Vanguard Circle once per turn, and put a rear or Morphine in its card name to your soul, and this unit is plus 10 for the turn. And you search your deck to 1 Lysurg order, reveal it, put it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. Cool, so send Morphine a soul, get plus 10, get an order, and then skill of Morphine, you call it back, and then you've actively just got a free order and plus 10. Amazing skill. And then continues Vanguard. If this unit is Oversoul this turn, when you would put a trigger, when you would put the top card of your deck into the trigger zone for this unit's drive check, perform look at the top 2 cards, choose a card from among them, put it to your trigger zone, put the rest on the bottom instead. They kind of stole that from Ezel. What was it that did it? Plot and Ezel, except Plot and Ezel called it to rear. Except that's still pretty good because you effectively can stack your trigger lineup, and this card has probably one of the easiest Oversoul's ability ever. So I'm gonna guess you probably want to make a deck around calling a board very quickly to take advantage of possible trigger stacking, and Morphine would just be the final rearguard, or like something you can rely on to hit a 4th or 5th rearguard just to swing with. So Revenger, Lysurg, Deathiel, pretty nice skill. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. Then we have For My Own Justice, grade 3 normal order. Lysurg, if you have a unit with Lysurg in its card name, play by counterblasting 1. Draw a card, choose one of your with Lysurg in its card name, and it gets auto van rear. When your jet check is a trigger, all your form always gets plus 5 for the turn. Until end of turn. If orders weren't once per turn, that would be so powerful because you can just give it to 3 different units or 3 to the same unit, and then that would be plus 15 per trigger. So at least this is a plus 10 per trigger. And combined with Persona Rides and all that crap, yeah, Vanguard would be unstoppable, and your rear guards would basically be unstoppable, or at least hard to guard. So, For My Own Justice, really nice order, sets up a lot of things, especially if you can start stacking triggers, so I get a 4. Then we have the thing I predicted yesterday, Kojiro Saki Rideline. Fastest prediction, Kojiro Saki. Grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto when it's rode upon by history, strongest loser. Okay, Kurosaki. Well, that tells us what the grade 1's going to be. Oh, no, that's what the grade 3 is. Huh. Reveal the top card of your deck, and if it put it to your hand, if you revealed a card that is a man, you may soul charge 1. Okay, apparently this guy's manly for being a loser. Anyways, basically bounce the top card to your hand, and if it was a man, you get an extra soul charge out of it. So Sasaki is a really nice card. Interesting. Fortunately, has no skills in the main deck, so there's no reason not to run it except in the red deck. So one of. We didn't get the grade 1 for some reason. And then we have History's Strongest Loser, Kojiro Saki. Okay, grade 3 200 Persona, right? 13k base. His body type says otherwise about him being a loser. Volunder. Continuous Vanguard. When your opponent's Sentinel will be retired from guard circle, it is bound instead of being retired. To my knowledge, that does nothing in D, but I tell you what, that does so much in premium. And then active Vanguard once per turn. Current +1, put one of your rear guards into your soul. Your opponent chooses a card from their drop zone and binds it, and this unit gets continuous Vanguard. This unit gets +5, and if your opponent's bind zone has 3 or more cards, this unit gets 5k power, and if your opponent's bind zone has 7 or more cards, it gets an extra critical until end of turn. So, gets +5, gets another +5, possibly gets an extra crit. It has the ability to force them to bind a card. I like it. I think it's good. I think my prediction was kind of spot on about this card. Screws over premium Sentinels, and if they ever try making Sentinels with skills again, that's going to end up screwing them over. It also does screw over, Zorga a bit, because they kind of can get their PG back from drop zone. And not to mention, 23k swing with double critical without having to Persona Ride. So all around, Kojiro Sasuke, even though he's a loser, apparently he's really good. So 4 of. Then we have our Vollunder card, second Valkyrie Sister Hardest, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, Vollunder, history strongest loser, Kojiro Saki. Played as an arms on a specified unit if this no unit is no longer a unit with it arms with, and if a new Vollunder is armed, put it to drop. You can choose Vanguard if this unit is armed to a Vanguard, all your following abilities are active. Active Vanguard Circle once per turn. Soul Blast 2 and all of your front row rear guards. Well, not Vanguard Circle, just act once per turn. Soul Blast 2, all your front row units plus rear guards get +5k for the turn. And auto, when its Vanguard attacks does not hit, counter +1, soul +1, bind a copy of this from hand, choose one of your Vanguard, stand and lucid drive for the turn. Cool, so a way to swing with double critical, way to get +5k to your front row. All around, I think that's a pretty good skill. I like Hertz. Doesn't really have like a nice finishing move to, but then again, this provides the finishing move, so I think Hertz is really good, so I gave it a 4 of. And that was pretty much it for our reveals for this week. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Nothing too major. I think all of us might be a bit disappointed that we didn't get an evolution, because I know I am, but it's fine, because Gridiron evolving would be a bit too good. I hope we get Eugene in the Hex Orb though, or at least Eugene. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't like, comment, subscribe, donate to Patreon, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.